Hello， 大家好 ，Aaron 喺度 for Mac。咁啊，今日咧就出 update 嘅，就係 iPadOS， 就係 iOS 15.0.2，就係移除一啲關聯嘅信息啦，從信息中嗰啲相片啦會被刪除啦 ，AirTag 問題啦，同埋 Finder 係 iTunes iPad Mini 第6代啲所有人嘅失敗啦，而家即刻我哋都係 security update 嘅啫。咁啊，我而家做咗嘢先。係啦，因為咁啱咩天文台話改8號風球啊嘛，咁同一個時間睇 Solo 睇應該有片睇。Subscription Solo 15.02.2.
Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zolotech, and today Apple released iOS 15.0.2.
15.0.2
This is available to everyone at the same time all around the world and is available on all iOS 15 supported devices. So if you have an iPhone 6s,
iOS
6s
15 device
SE, iPhone 7, all the way up to the iPhone 13 Pro and 13 Pro Max, you'll have the update available now. Apple also released this alongside iPadOS 15.0.2, so if you have a supported device such as an iPad Air 2 that I have here, all the way up to the latest iPad Pro or iPad Mini, you'll have a supported device and can install that now. Also, they released watchOS 8.0.1 to go along with this. And if you're not seeing the update, you can easily check for the update by going to Settings, then go to General, then Software Update, and you'll see the update. Now, if you're not seeing the update, turn off automatic updates and then check again, and you should see the update. However, if you're on iOS 15.1 betas, you won't see the update as you'll actually have a newer version on beta, and you won't have this update available. And so you've already seen the size of this, where it was 531.4 megabytes. That's on the iPhone 12 Pro Max, and on the iPhone 13 Pro Max, it was similarly sized at 589.4 megabytes. So it's a 500 to 600 megabyte update depending on which device you have. And let's go ahead and take a look at the build number, and then we'll talk about what's new. So we'll go to Settings, then we'll go to General, then About, and you can see the build number is 19A404. And
哇！呢個今次個 build number 咧都好好笑嘅，就係19A404啊，404 error 啊，少好少啊！呢個 code 啊，19A404啊，404有個 error code 嘅。咁暫時都冇咩 update， 就係 fix 咗少少 bug 喺15.0.1嘅。
5G or LTE, there's
really
not
like IG數據啊，有冇
But there
update？
are a bunch of bug fixes in this update.
Fix 咗 bug
and the
fix
first thing has to do with messages. So if you go to messages, and I'll go into one I sent to myself, and maybe you have some photos that you saved to your photo library. Maybe you want to save this one. We'll save it. And in your photo library, it would be there until maybe you deleted the message conversation or the conversation within messages. It would delete that from your photo library. Apple has now fixed that. So if we go back to our messages, under messages, if I slide and delete this conversation, prior to this, there's a bug that could delete all of your photos within those messages from your photo library. That has since been fixed. Now, Apple also fixed an issue with the new MagSafe Leather Wallet with Find My.
With MagSafe Leather Wallet 係都可以解決到嘅，即係如果你用13啊、12都有嘅，解決咗啦。
Wouldn't connect to Find My properly, and you'll see now it's popping up telling me to add this. I had a bug where it wouldn't show up, and then I couldn't add it to Find My. So that was
加唔到個 Find My app 度嘅，即係嗰個 MagSafe。如果你用 iPhone 嘅就入啦，有。
Prior to this, it just wouldn't show up properly on my devices. Now it's working properly, and you can use Find My to locate it. Also, there was another issue in Find My.
Issue 咧就係
AirTags. So if you have an AirTag and you're trying to locate it in Find My, so we'll go into Find My. Within Find My, sometimes it wouldn't show up properly.
有時 show up 唔係咁嘅。
So if you're using Find My and AirTags, now they should show properly, and you'll be able to play a sound or find it nearby or anything like that. Before this, you may have had an issue doing that.
有個 issue 喺 from AirTag 度啊。
Now, something else they've resolved in this update, I think a lot of people will be
個 MagSafe 如果你用 iPhone 嘅朋友 ，Leather MagSafe 係而家係我哋嗰個 MagSafe Wallet case 係而家駁翻好啦。播音樂嘅時候咧可以，亦都no longer disconnect 啊，所以。
stop automatically, and it didn't really seem to matter.
唔會話唔會長時間咧 disconnect 咗嘅，即係個 Apple Music App 度有個 update。咁呢個 update 咧就咁 可能你播到邊首歌，可能就中途停咗噶啦，就唔會話長途 disconnect 咗嘅，除非。如果你 CarPlay 嘅話。
Across all devices. I heard this over and over, and this has been resolved, and hopefully the major bugs with CarPlay are fixed. It will take a little time to know if it's fixed for everyone, but they should be resolved with this update, and it's been problematic since the original release of iOS 15. Now, along with this, if you're restoring your device when you're using Finder or iTunes, so if you're on
Finder,
Mac, you use Finder, and it will look like this. And if you're restoring an iPhone, you could have an issue before with the iPhone 13 models. So maybe you're restoring an.
如果你 restore 咧，就只限於 iPhone 13嗰啲系列嗰啲手啫。
An iPhone 13, 13 mini, iPhone 13 Pro, or iPhone 13 Pro Max, there could be a message that it failed when you were trying to update.
如果你 try update 或者 restore 嘅時候咧，就要解決嘅。即係可能 fail 咗啊，要再 update 過啊，呢個都有解決咗啦。iPad 都係一樣嘅啫。Finder 同 iTunes 喺 iPad Mini 第6代嘅。restore 呢啲嘢咧時候咧，都有啲 bug 嘅。應該冇乜事。
Newest devices is hard to say. There is not an update on the Mac side to resolve that. So if you're restoring your iPhone 13 or basically anything that Apple just released, that should now be resolved properly. There's also a touch bug on the iPhone 13s that has been resolved, and the problem seemed to stick around.
My
for
iPhone
YouTube. The YouTube app was updated just this past
YouTube 都 update 咗啦，
and it resolves that touch bug as well. So now all of the touch issues seem to be resolved on iPhone, whether that be opening an app, home or something else. And if you're going into maybe weather or another application, sometimes you would just touch and it wouldn't do anything. That was resolved earlier on, but it still remained in YouTube, and it seems to be resolved due to that YouTube update. So check for updates in your App Store if you're having that problem. One thing I noticed right away once this updated is that my widgets loaded right away as well. Some people were having issues with the widgets would not show properly. While that was supposed to be fixed in iOS 15.0.1, it seems to definitely be fixed now. Right when I booted up the iPhone 7, it was blank and then it immediately filled in. The same is true with the iPad. So it looks like they fixed the widget refresh issue. Now, as far as how often it refreshes is hard to say, but it does look like they fixed that. Now, there's a power sleep wake issue where some people were seeing delays when turning on their phone, and that seems to be resolved in this update as well, although they don't say that it's fixed specifically. I've had some people tell me already, if you powered on your phone, sometimes there was a delay. It seems to be nice and fast with this update. Now, Apple did resolve one storage issue that was there with iOS 15 in iOS 15.0.1, where there was a message that you had no available storage left. However, there's still a storage
問題啊，就係 iPhone storage 問題啊。
still experiencing. I asked
用咗幾耐啊，都係問題。
And some people have excessive storage being taken up, and others show that maybe you have a 256 gigabyte iPhone and it says 300 gigabytes is available. It's showing odd storage messages here and there, and some people can't see this at all where it just won't load. So it really depends on the phone. I've seen multiple people say they have no issues and others say that they still do, but it's not resolved in iOS 15.0.2. Now, along with the resolved issues and updates, Apple has also patched some security updates. So as you can see on the security website, I'll link it in the description, but you can see it says iOS 15.0.2 and iPadOS 15.0.2. If we go into this, you'll see what was actually patched, and it says IO Mobile Frame Buffer. An application may be able to execute arbitrary code with privileges. Report that this issue may have been actively exploited. To fix it, or the description, a memory corruption issue was addressed.
Memory corruption, Now,
this may not be the only security update in here. It's just the only one they mentioned. So that's been patched in this update. Now, as far as the overall battery life of this update, well, it always
battery life
but I would not expect any major differences compared with the prior update. And so I've been running iOS 15.0.1 and iOS 15.1 betas on this iPhone 13 Pro, and you'll see when I ran it early on, I had 3 hours and 14 minutes of screen on time, 50 minutes of screen off time, with about 50% of my battery used. So if I was to use this to 100% of my battery, I could expect the normal 7 to 8 hours of screen on time with pretty decent screen off time as well. It just varies day to day, but in general, the update seems to be pretty stable for most, and I did a follow-up about that, where many people said it was much better. A few people did have some issues though. Now, as far as overall performance, it does seem to be performing quite well. I noticed it was quite smooth on all of the devices here, and on the iPhone 7, it was nice and fast right away after it was done processing in the background. And so if we go into things like music, you'll see that we can scroll pretty smoothly here. It is a little choppy, but that's pretty typical of this device. And the nice thing is, it did not seem to be warm at all. After booting up and initially installing the update, the back of the phone was warm, but not hot like it was with 15.0.1.
唔會好似咁有陣時開機，你煲完機之後咧，有陣時係好熱嘅，但而家唔會咯。但因為佢解決咗㗎啦，唔會咁熱咯，又唔會咁話暖咯，可能暖得滯，但唔會咁熱咯，即係唔會咁熱咯。呢個解決咗嘅，的確啱嘅。
And so that leads me to, should you install iOS 15.0.2? And I would say absolutely, just for the security updates alone. Of course, if you're already on 15.1 betas, you won't be able to install this, but you would have to use a computer to downgrade to it.
要 downgrade 咯，如果要 download， 如果想 download 呢個 version 嘅話，如果 beta 版咧就冇得㗎啦。
But if you want to try 15.0.2, I would
15 點，
recommend it, as
因為
it has that
因為佢
security
有個
update
security
and also
update 喺度啊，所以
fixes as
同埋啲
well.
bug fix 嘅。
Now, as far as the release of iOS
15.1咧，預計會喺
release candidate as soon as tomorrow or Wednesday. Last week we had beta 3, so I would expect beta 4 or release candidate very soon, with a final release within the next few weeks. It's expected
可能下兩個禮拜啦，預計
October Apple event to show off new Macs, and so maybe we'll see it sometime around then with a
咁的確可能15.1咧，大概咧就統測嗰兩個禮拜啦，應該統測嗰個禮拜啦，或者應該11月啦，大概咁上下時間。咁大概咧就統測嗰個禮拜啦，預計統測嗰個禮拜就應該先出15.1。呢段時間就可能會少啲。
with a new macOS Monterey release.
同埋亦都會出呢個新嘅 macOS 叫 macOS 10 Monterey 新嘅，咁出到預告定俾大家聽啦。另外咧，因為佢10月咧都係個Apple 喺10月出 event 啦，所以會出新 Mac 噶啦，所以繼續睇埋佢先。
Release, since we haven't seen that yet. So within the next couple of weeks, I would expect iOS 15.1 with some new features and bug fixes as well. And so as far as everything else in iOS 15.0.2, that's everything. And if anything else or noticed anything different,
資訊嘅話咧都要留意先。
If you'd like to get your hands on this wallpaper, of course, I'll link it in the description like I normally do. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.
我哋 cut 咗喺度。個 Anchor Solo Text Office Change Sponsor。我想臨尾咧就係嗰個 Anchor Sponsor。
I'll see you next time.
Solo Text sponsor 呢個呢個 Anchor， 咁大家可以快啲支持Solo Text 用嘅 Anchor 啊。好，條片咧就到呢度，咁update 完之後再見大家。各位，咁我都係update完之後再見大家。